There's a new push to improve early childhood education. And tonight's To The Point, 2 News anchor Russ McCaskey sits down with one of the leaders of a new statewide coalition that is working to make improvements.
Dr. Bob Block joins us. Thanks for being with us today.
My pleasure.
Now, you're part of a new group that's been formed, a coalition. Kind of tell us about what OKCEO is.
OKCEO started very recently, thanks to the Potts Family Foundation, a foundation out of Oklahoma City, where they have an interest in early childhood and early childhood development. So the OKCEO is really an opportunity for business leaders to be champions for early opportunities, hence CEO.
And no, you know, for years we kind of focused on early childhood issues, but you really want to take this to the next level. Tell us a little bit about what you want to do and what you hope to achieve.
Well, you know, one of the things that we often forget is that every adult once was a child. And where we are as adults is often very dependent on what happened to us during our early childhood. So the OKCEO program and other programs focused on early childhood development are trying to promote awareness of the importance of early education, early nurturing, early health, and successful early childhoods, which then create a foundation for successful adulthood.
And when you look at the money that's spent on education, I think I saw somewhere that there's fewer than 4% of the dollars for that early childhood age. How important is it to get some dollars towards that, and what all happens to the child's brain in those first couple of years that's going to make a difference later on?
Well, that's the question. What we now know that we didn't used to know was that the effects on children's brain development, both at a chemical level and a physical level, are quite often determined by the environment that surrounds that child. So levels of stress, levels of poverty, other social determinants of health are not only just intuitively bad for the child, but they really are factors that create the way the brain develops. And if the brain isn't allowed to develop to its full potential, then the obvious consequence is you have adults who are not going to live up to their potential as well. So we want to pay attention to the front end because that's where the investment needs to be made. And unfortunately, although Oklahoma does well compared with other states in early childhood education, it's not just a cognitive function. It's paying attention to health and development during those early childhood years that make the most difference.
So I guess the concept is that if we can really improve those early years, that later in life, when it comes time for high school or maybe going on to college, we're going to see big dividends.
Absolutely. And even in later adults in terms of health, a lot of physical health, diseases like diabetes and heart disease and obesity-related things, even cancer and lung diseases are related to the kind of environment that you begin with during your early years in childhood. So instead of spending a lot of money at the end of somebody's life, we can invest a little bit of money at the beginning and come out much better.
Yeah. Now, it's a statewide group, and we have some people like yourself from Tulsa, but people from all over the state who are kind of behind this effort. So with that, what do you expect to happen in the next couple of years?
What we'd like to do, I think, is put business leaders in front of other business leaders. And the corporate CEOs that are also Oklahoma CEOs now for the Champions for Early Opportunity will be speaking to business groups and civil groups and trying to get across the idea that we were just talking about in terms of making investments in early childhood education and in early childhood development.
Now, you are the president-elect of the American Academy of Pediatrics. So that's a big national group, and that's quite a job that you have before you there. How does this kind of fold into what you're going to be doing next year as president of that organization?
You know, it's a perfect opportunity because the American Academy of Pediatrics, which represents over 62,000 pediatricians in this country, has as one of its strategic plan priorities looking at early brain and child development, looking at the science that we're now accumulating about how social environments affect the brain, and looking at early childhood development along the lines of what we were just talking about in terms of children as our future adult workforce, our future adult leaders, and the relationship, so that pediatricians and the folks we work with can look at children, work with families to create good environments for those kids so that they have good potential for growing up the way we want them to.
Yeah, and I guess that's the main goal of all of this, just to have kids who are good kids go on and become great adults.
Absolutely. Just hit it right on the button there.
All right. Dr. Bob Block, thanks for being with us today.
My pleasure.